When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Kroger for thousands of appetizing ingredients that inspire countless mouth-watering meals. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices. Plus, extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week and up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with points. So you can get big flavors and big savings. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
This episode is brought to you by Microsoft Azure. Turn your ideas into reality with an Azure free account. Get everything you need to develop apps across cloud and hybrid environments, scale workloads, create cloud-connected mobile experiences, and so much more. Discover what you can create with popular services free for 12 months. Learn more at azure.com. That's AZURE.com. And sign up for a free account to start building in the cloud today.
Thanks for choosing this free Anfield Index podcast. If you'd prefer to listen to this or any of our other shows without adverts, then now's the time to check out Anfield Index Pro. With AI Pro, you can supercharge your entire listening experience. You'll not only get all of our podcasts without the ads, but you'll have them far faster with our Quick Publish feature available exclusively for subscribers. AI Pro also puts you in the heart of our sound studio, with an option to listen to many of our shows live and interact with the podcasters in real time as the shows are recording. Upgrading couldn't be easier. AI Pro is available on all popular podcast platforms. Just head on over to AnfieldIndexPro.com and get started today.
Hello, welcome to the Daily Red, your lunchtime catch-up on all things Liverpool FC late on a Tuesday afternoon. Hope you're all well and having yourselves a pleasant day. A lot of things to be happy about in the Liverpool sphere at the moment. Some things to not be so happy about, but, we can't really control those. We can't control when the club offers contracts to Mo, Virgil and Trent. We just have to hope that they do. We can't control that they didn't sign the players they needed in the summer transfer window. We just have to hope that we get through to January and they can correct those mistakes then. What we can control is the vibe that we provide around things. And we're 3 games in. We've won all 3. We've won all 3 very, very comfortably. And there should be a lot of positivity around that because ultimately, regardless of contracts, players being bought and sold and all the rest, the biggest thing that took place with this club in the last few months was Jurgen Klopp leaving. And the most difficult thing to do was always going to be to replace him. And I feel like we should be celebrating the fact that the early signs are that the club have absolutely nailed this, because everything around Arne Slot just seems very, very positive. It's not just that he's walked in, taken up the team and is just doing the same things that Jurgen was doing. Like, there's been a drastic change in how we play, how we approach things. The training methods have changed. The fitness methods have changed. And yet it's all happened very, very seamlessly. There's been no clunkiness. You often see, like, when a great manager leaves the club and a new manager comes in, that there's a load of clunkiness as they try and alter the way of playing, especially a manager like Klopp that was at Liverpool for so long. You often see a manager leave a club where he's been a long time and they just fall apart without him, and that's not happening at Liverpool. In the 3 games we've played, we had a difficult first half against Ipswich, and by difficult I mean they were aggressive, they pressed high, they disrupted what we were doing. But it's not like they had Alisson scrambling around dealing with one-on-ones and things like that. It was difficult to match their tempo and be able to execute the way we wanted to. In the second half, we were flawless. Against Brentford, I thought we were largely very good and very controlled. And then against United, there was a messy portion of the game in the first half. And then we settled in. And from there, up until we decided we had the game won on about 65, it was just a procession of us taking the ball off them, playing through them and doing whatever we really wanted, with them posing little to no threat. And these are really positive things, especially coming off last year, where I know we finished third, but we flew by the seat of our arses last year. We had no real control in games. We were conceding a lot of chances and a lot of goals. We were having to really force the issue a lot of the time, and that led to a lot of panic in some of our players. And I think it's the biggest contributing factor into why we were so poor in front of goal last year, why we missed so many big chances, is because we were constantly putting ourselves in more difficult positions than we needed to put ourselves in by giving up early goals. And that has been eliminated. The season before, we were just dreadful. 3 of the last 4 seasons really weren't good enough for the standards of this club. Obviously 21-22 being the outlier. But when you take a step back and look at the 4 seasons, it's pretty clear 21-22 was an outlier rather than the usual way things go. And yet it appears that this season ahead, we could see a return to that type of form, or even the form from 2018 to 2020, where we're a very dominant team. And it's often forgotten because people like to talk about heavy metal football, that when we were winning the Champions League and the league, we weren't really doing the heavy metal thing. We were getting ahead early and we were controlling games. And we were punishing teams with counterattacks. Now, the style was different to what we're doing now in terms of how we built up and such. We're building a lot more centrally under Arne than we did under Jurgen, who preferred his build-up to come in wide areas. It would only go central really to get Bobby involved, but that was in the final third. Now, our first phase build-up is from central positions, as we saw courtesy of Alexis against United. And that enables the likes of Gravenberch and Szoboszlai to receive the ball in central areas and drive forward, and then bring the front 3 into play. And then you're bringing the fullbacks into play as well, as opposed to giving it to the fullbacks, having them feed the wingers or Bobby, and then going from there. And all of this is really positive. Not to say that that other way wasn't the right way to do it, because obviously it worked. It worked incredibly well, especially in those 2 seasons, 2018-19 and 2019-20. But this feels like a more sustainable way of doing it. And we haven't had a player go off injured in 3 games. The only real injury we've had is Curtis Jones, and by the sounds of things, it's something fairly minor. It's just that they're going to be really cautious with him. Jarell Quansah obviously had a bit of a knock, but it wasn't an injury. I know Arne said it was an injury, but he said it was a minor, small injury or something like that. You also have to factor in, English isn't his first language. So the term knock might not mean anything to him in that regard. The fact that he made the bench for the Brentford game and was on the bench again at the weekend shows that it wasn't an injury. It was just a bit of a knock. Standard, he missed a day or 2 of training. Curtis is an injury, but it's minor and he'll be back soon. And if we can keep our players fit, it should help us continually put out really strong 11s and not have to do what was happening last year, where players were being rushed back, where we were having to patch things together week after week. You're seeing Arne make the same in-game changes game after game. He has clearly identified, well, not necessarily him, but maybe Ruben Peters and the sports science team have identified players that take on a significant workload in-game and thus need to be managed and not necessarily flogged into the ground for 90 minutes week after week after week. It's notable that Trent is one of those players, and I think that's a nod from Arne to... Excuse me, sorry about that. It's a nod from Arne to just how important he is to the team. And I think it's something that obviously Trent is going to just need to get used to. I don't think it'll go on all season. I don't think we're going to see every single game Trent comes off on 70. But it's a good way to keep Connor Bradley engaged because I think he'll be playing a decent amount this season. It's a good way to manage Trent's minutes. Obviously, Trent missed most of pre-season because he was late back after the Euros, similar with Ibu. I wouldn't be surprised if in a couple of upcoming games, when we're a couple of goals up, if Ibu comes off and Kwanzaa comes on, maybe Trent stays on in those games. So I don't think he'll want to change 3 of the back 4. I think with Robbo, I think it'll be more frequent than with Trent because Robbo has had multiple seasons now where he's had injury knocks, whereas with Trent, it was just last season, really. And Robbo's also older. He's a lot more miles on his legs. So I could see with Robbo, maybe he's a regular one to come off on 70, 75. But I think the other defensive sub might rotate a bit between Bradley and Kwanzaa for Trent or Ibu. And again, these are positive things that this is something the manager's clearly investing into and getting the players to buy into as well. And we know Trent didn't take it well after the Brentford game, but I thought his reaction against United was excellent. I think he realised that maybe the manager was sending him a little bit of a message, but also that the manager's doing it for a reason. He's not doing it because you're playing badly. This is not a knock on you. This is to aid you and ensure that you have the best season possible. Let's check the main Liverpool websites then. So this is an interesting story that I've just seen on This is Anfield from Jack Losby. Club president has confirmed Liverpool attempted a late transfer for shock target. Liverpool are claimed to have attempted a deal for Mexican winger Cesar Huerta during the summer transfer window, though their move ultimately fell through. Reports of Liverpool's interest in Huerta, a left winger playing for Club Universidad, who I think they go under UNAM, emerged from Mexico at the end of August. The club, known as the Pumas, were reported by TUDN, which I assume is a Mexican outlet, to have made it easy for the 23-year-old to secure his move to Liverpool, to England with an agreement very close. Plans were in place for him to travel on Friday. To travel to the UK to finalise a deal, which would have come just before Friday's deadline. However, it is claimed to have broken down after Sunderland rejected a proposed loan move. So, according to this, we were going to buy this player and loan him to Sunderland for a year, and then he would join us. And I suppose putting the pieces together, you could see some logic in it, especially, him going on loan to get used to playing in England, play at a decent level in the Championship for a big club in Sunderland that will have big crowds and big expectation, because I think a lot of people think they can come up this year. They sold Jack Clark, so they do have a need for a winger. But seemingly it fell apart. Now, I don't know a ton about this kid. He's 23, turns 24 in December. A quick gander on Y-Scout tells me he's an exceptionally good dribbler of the football and beats players for fun, scores and creates, had 12 goals and 9 assists last season in 41 games. And Liga MX is a very high level. It's not, obviously, the Premier League. It's not the Bundesliga, Serie A, La Liga. But it's comparable to like the Greek League, the Eredivisie. I think it's a stronger league than the MLS. It would be comparable to the Brazilian Serie A, comparable to the Argentine Premier Division. So take out the big six in Europe, and it's probably comparable to pretty much any of them and stronger than quite a few of them. So it is a decent standard. So it may well be that there is some truth in this, but obviously the club haven't confirmed anything. The club haven't said anything. So who knows? Is it something we revisit in January? I mean, again, it may not have been anything real. It may well be that a president of a club is merely using Liverpool's name to get a bit of attention, but I'm not sure they would need to do that. Right. Ryan Gravenberch is exceeding early expectations as Liverpool's key midfield cog. That's a little bit aggressive in terms of key midfield cog. But this piece starts off with suggesting that Arne Slot could well hold the key to unlock the full potential. Okay, so Arne Slot are moving Gravenberch to number 6. New lease on life. Zubimendi. Yeah, okay. I mean, the fact of the matter is, he didn't play there against Manchester United.
When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Kroger for thousands of appetizing ingredients that inspire countless mouth-watering meals. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices. Plus, extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week and up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with points. So you can get big flavors and big savings. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
This says against United, though, he was not alone, number 6, instead sitting alongside Alexis in a double pivot that had him positioned in a slightly more advanced role. It didn't really. In fact, it had him playing well ahead of Alexis a lot of the time, further ahead of Alexis than Alexis played ahead of him in the Brentford and Ipswich games. This was much more of a 1 and a 2 midfield as opposed to a double pivot with one in front. So I do think that's slightly inaccurate. Dom had largely been playing on the right side, involving himself more in build-up with Mo in the Ipswich and Brentford games. In this game, he was primarily positioned on the left and actually swapped with Diaz multiple times and actually played on the left while Diaz came into a more central kind of advanced 8-10 kind of role. Now, not for more than a minute or two at a time, but that happened multiple times in that first half. So it was a noticeable change that it was basically Alexis sitting more centralised, Gravenberch right, Dom left. Dom was playing more advanced, but it wasn't like a staggered 1 and a 2 as opposed to the 2 and a 1 that we played in the first 2 games. But Gravenberch was, the first half was absolutely tremendous. Absolutely tremendous performance from him. And the second half, he was fine, but we had the game won, so it was about managing. He had a bit of a rough start in the second half with a couple of loose passes, but that first half was just incredible. For what he's shown since joining the club, that was leaps and bounds ahead of any performance he put in before. What else do we have here? Luis Diaz made some statement versus Soccer Aid Casemiro. Trent's cheeky gesture. Obviously, Trent kissed the camera, and then obviously the goal was disallowed, which is such a shame. Why Liverpool still have 12:30 kickoff despite new post-Champions League rules? Because we're playing at home in Europe, I believe, is the reason. Liverpool will play Crystal Palace at 12 in a 12:30 kickoff after the Champions League clash with Bologna, despite a rule change to avoid a similar build-up. The Premier League confirmed on Monday that the Reds' clash with Chelsea has been moved to Sunday, the 20th of October, kicking off at 4:30. This means there will be an even longer wait between fixtures around the October international break. Liverpool's final game before the second break of the season will be a 12:30 kickoff away to Palace. I assume it's because that game's at Anfield. If that game was an away game, if we were playing Bologna away, then we couldn't have the 12:30 after it. So yeah, that's fine. Let's see. Ronald Koeman has a theory on lazy Ryan Gravenberch's rebirth. He's basically saying that Gravenberch found it too easy and basically wasn't motivated, which is true. I mean, it is true. He's allowed to skate by on talent for far too long. And it seems like now he's got a manager that's going to make him prove it and make him earn it. And make him earn it every single week. Liverpool haven't ruled out reviving Martin Zubimendi transfer as early as January. Seeing how Alexis played that role, you could very easily pick Zubimendi, pop him in there and see it get even better. And it would give you incredible flexibility then, because you could play Zubimendi, Alexis and Szoboszlai. You could play Zubimendi, Gravenberch and Szoboszlai. You could play Zubimendi, Gravenberch and Alexis. And in that set, you could potentially shift Szoboszlai out onto the left. So I think it does make sense if there is a possibility to go back for him. David Lynch has said that it's not completely closed off. Liverpool felt pressure was being put on the player from Real Sociedad's side more than anything. It wasn't a U-turn where they felt he'd been traitors to Liverpool or anything like that. They felt that Real Sociedad had played a big role in that. I think David Ornstein has kind of said it as well, that it's possible that we do go back and have a look at him. And Romano has said it too. Now, again, whether or not you take his word, but certainly you'd be looking at Ornstein and thinking, well, that guy isn't going to say something for the point of saying it. Now, there is a piece going around on the Athletic today that David Ornstein has written about Richard Hughes. So my impression initially, I think a lot of people's impression, was that this is him pandering, trying to, maybe make up to the club for breaking the Zubimendi story and putting it out there before the club wanted it out there. I have spoken to somebody today who's told me that's not actually the case, that there's no making up to do there. If anyone wants to reach out to me, I'll show them the DM I got and who I got it from, and I think you'll believe it when you see it. I'm not going to put it out publicly, but certainly I think there's a real possibility that Ornstein is being very honest and that there is quite a lot of people praising Richard Hughes. And as I said during the summer, look, we all know that the summer window didn't end well. We know that we failed to get what was needed done. But there was an awful lot to get done in the summer. It wasn't just about transfers. There was an awful lot of other things that needed to get done. And most of them did get done in quite a short period of time and to quite a high level of success. The contracts were likely never on the table for the summer window. They were probably always on the burner for September, October, November. Try and get them done then, once games are back. Because here's the thing. It's very hard to go to Virgil, Mo and Trent and say, look, sign this contract and stay here, when they don't know if this manager is going to be successful or not. Like, why would Mo and Virgil in particular commit the final years of their primes to a club where they're unsure on the manager, where they don't know him, don't know a lot about him, hadn't worked under him, he had no track record at this level? So why would they commit to that? So it made a lot more sense to let them get weeks, months under Arne, to get games under him, to see how this is going to work and get more of a deeper understanding of what he's looking for. And I mean, early signs are both are absolutely delighted with this appointment and how this has worked out. So I do think the transfer thing, or the contract thing not being done, is overblown, but it also needs to get taken care of. 22 former Liverpool players who changed clubs. Let's have a look. Liverpool training plan, Federico Chiesa that blocked Italy call-up. So the Italian national team have said they were going to call Chiesa up for this international break, and that basically Liverpool kind of reached out to them and said, look, we kind of want to work with him here, get him up to speed, because he missed. Well, he didn't miss. He did train in pre-season, but didn't play any pre-season games, so he hasn't played in months now. Is there a possibility you can just let him stay with us and we can work with him and then ease him back in, and then by October he should be in a better situation? Trying Van Dijk and Salah contract movement. What is this now? Oh, it's basically just all about what was said over the weekend, so that's fine. There's nothing there. Right, 22 former Liverpool players that changed clubs. Let's see. So Xherdan Shaqiri went to Basel, Adam Lallana went to Southampton, Solanke went to Spurs, Sterling went to Arsenal, Phil Coutinho went to Vasco da Gama. Funnily enough, 3 of them going back to former clubs. Luis Alberto went to Al Zuhal in Qatar. Mamadou Sakho joined Torpedo Kutazi? Who are they? Lazar Markovic joined FC Banias. Ben Woodburn joined Salford. Sebastian Coates joined Nacional. Pepe Reina went to Como. Alberto Moreno went to Como. Stephen Colker signed for Ankara in Turkey. Ben Davies went to Birmingham. Kian Hoiver joined Auxerre. Auxerre got promoted and seemed to be spending some money because they also brought in Ahmed Traore from Bournemouth on loan. John Joe Shelby moved to Eyüpspor in Turkey. Right. Sakho is going to play in Georgia. Is that their training, their pitch? That's dreadful looking. Let's have a look. Mamadou Sakho, what's going on? This is what happens when you have a falling out with your coach. Right, so Markovic has gone to Abu Dhabi. Andre Wisdom signed for Derry City. Might take a trip up. Have a look. Liam Miller's gone to Hull. Camille Grabara's gone to Wolfsburg. Yasser Larouche joined Watford. Andy Lonergan joined Wigan. And Shamal George, remember him? He's gone to Wickham. And then, here we go. Here's some of the big long list. Lawrence Figueroa, he's gone to Swansea. Danny Pacheco went to Wisla Plock. Jan Danda joined Hearts. Didn't he used to play for? Hang on a sec. Jack Byrne joined Hednesford. Morgan Boys joined Greenock Morton. Herbie Kane went to Huddersfield. Samidi Essel is still playing. He signed for ATS Crayfield. Adam Morgan joined City of Liverpool. Jack Dunn went to Bury. Sam Hart to Port Vale. Daniel Trickett-Smith also went to Hednesford along with Byrne. Kai Mackenzie Lyle joined Oxford City, not Oxford United, Oxford City, who are non-league. Juanma signed for CB Sabadell. Corey Whelan joined Fields in the National League. Tony Gomes went to Sonyam FC. Matty Virtue went to Fleetwood. Ryan Fulton went to Hearts. And Jake Brimmer went to Auckland FC. Jan Danda's having quite the odd career. It's a good move from though, Hearts. Like he did pretty well at Ross County from what I've heard. Yeah, did basically 4 years at Swansea, fell out of favour. 2 good years by the looks of things at Ross County, and now joins Hearts. So best of luck to him. I hope he does really well. Right, let's have a look at AnfieldIndex.com. I'll leave it to yourselves to go and check out Liverpool.com, Anfield Watch, and Dave O.C. Cop. AnfieldIndex.com. There is a piece about Salah's contract and Ali McCoy saying he's baffled he hasn't been offered one yet. A piece about Alexis, a piece about Zubimendi, a piece about Chiesa, a piece about me talking about Mo and his contract. We have some new podcasts. We have loads of new podcasts. In fact, there is Media Matters, David Lynch on the Old Trafford game. There is the new Under Pressure, which is Dan, Sai, and Hamza. There is the Big Decisions pod, which is Pro Plus. It is Dave Davis going through big decisions to be made, contract concerns, etc., etc. There's the latest Stat Me Up, which is Dave and Ben Boxack, so do check that one out. And then there is the two lads, Scouser Tommies, Jim Boardman, Jay Reid, always good. Make sure you give that a listen. And I'll see you tomorrow. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.
We hope you enjoyed listening to this Anfield Index show. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel so future podcasts find their way to your device automatically. There's nothing quite like fan engagement, and we'd love to know what you think of anything discussed on this show. The best way to get in touch is over on our free Discord community, where both podcasters and listeners debate the hottest LFC topics 24/7. Sign up free now at anfieldindex.com/Discord. You won't regret it. You can also follow us on Twitter at Anfield Index and find us on Facebook by searching for Anfield Index. Oh, and before you go, we'd love it if you could leave us a 5-star review on your favourite podcast app. It only takes a couple of seconds, and it means the world to the people who create these free shows.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.